Hi and greetings to Madam Sugantini. I will be starting off the presentation with presenting the word formation process. So I'll be starting off with explaining the coinage. So words that fall under the category of coinage, which are words that is um, based off brands. It is a new term, but it is given like a brand to like explain it. So let's say like in my article, we found out that Nike and McFlurry is actually a coinage word because Nike represents a shoe because it is a brand for shoes, and McFlurry is like when you think of McFlurry, you can think of the ice cream. And then um, I will be explaining about borrowing. So borrowing is words that borrowing is actually words that are borrowed from other languages. So for example, we have words that is borrowed from Sanskrit and also French in the article. So for the word that is borrowed from Sanskrit is actually near, and the words that is borrowed from French is murder. So the next one is compounding. Compounding are words that is joined together from like two words that is combined into one. So for example, in the article, we found out that the word that is compiled together, which is basketball and also kickstart. So for basketball, we actually we know that because we know that basket is a root word and ball is also a root word. So when you combine those two words, you combine it to basketball, and it is actually a form of sport. And then we can look at conversion. Conversion is actually change of function of a word. So let's say we have a verb to noun and noun to verb. So this that is considered as a conversion. So in the article, we found out that a hit, it is actually a noun. For example, like a hit of the in the article it says that the wheat, a hit of the wheat. Also, it is mentioned about the hit of the ball because they played football. And we can also say that hit is actually when you hit someone to hurt someone. So that is also considered as a verb. So when you change the noun into a verb, so it is considered as a conversion. So the next one is blending. So blending is when you join two words together to separate forms, two words that is separate forms to produce a new term. So let's say we have marathon. So it is they are both the root words are both like separate forms. So they when they are combined together, they create a new word, the new term. So the next one is clipping. Clipping is actually when you have a long word and you shorten it, so it is called clipping. So for example, you have a long word like telephone. So when you shorten it out, when you want to talk to your friends, you use it as phone. Or for example, gasoline. Gasoline is when you short it out, it is considered as gas. And these are both examples that we found out from the articles. And the next one is back formation. So back formation is a word that is reduced to another word type. So let's say we have a word that is act. So when it is under the category of back formation, it will be changed into action. And if it's like motivate, it will change into motivation. So the next one is the last one is acronyms. So acronyms is actually a short, like how do I say, it's like initial letters that is combined together. For example, like ASAP, as soon, which is as soon as possible. So you when you say that ASAP, ASAP, that means it's like shortened acronym in order to make other people, because you want to shorten it out in order to make other people understand easily. So in the article, we found out a few examples, and ASAP is also one of them. So the next one is also Jason Vaughn, which is shortened into JV. So that is for word formation process. I will be explaining about the morphology. So for morphology, I've personally picked out two sentences from the six examples that we have chosen from the article to explain. So I'm going to explain both of the sentences, but I'm going to start with the first one, which is others slap one another's pets and point. So in these sentences, we can see that the first word, which is others, is actually a pronoun. So it is considered as a functional morpheme. So the next one is the word slap. it is a verb, so it is counted as a lexical morpheme. So the next word is one, so it is counted as a noun, and it is also considered as a lexical morpheme. So I will be quickly explaining about the lexical and functional morphemes. So so for example, like words that is like nouns, adjectives, and verbs, it will always be counted as a lexical morpheme. And words that are like there are like conjunctions, prepositions, articles, and pronouns, they are considered as functional morphemes. So for examples like the word and, so and is considered as a conjunction. So it is considered as a functional morpheme, as we can see in the first sentence. We have the word and, it is considered as a functional morpheme because it is a conjunction. And we also can also see at the second sentence, which is the word and, which is the start of the sentence, and, an. So and is considered as an article. So it is also a functional morpheme. So that's all for morphology. I'll leave my groupmate to continue with her next point.
Alright, thank you, Adrian. So, moving on to the next topic, which is syntax. As we know, the meaning of syntax is the study of structure of sentences. In Greek, we would say setting out together. Okay, so basically for survey structure and deep structure, there are two sentences which is active and passive. So for the active sentences, here refers the subject of the sentences perform the action in the sentences. So one of the examples from the article would be the man waits near the corner of Jones Road and Setila Drive. So basically the man here is subject and the corner of Jones Road and Setila Drive is predicate. So it's active sentences. So moving on to the next sentence, which is passive. So which means the subject of the sentences has an action done it to by someone or something else. So example here is the McMichaels both strapped tear off after mowed in their pickup, stalked him down Burford Road, another narrow street shaded by lush oaks, pines, and magnolias. So the McMichael is actually shaded by the lush oaks, pines, and magnolias. So it's like the lush oaks, pines, and magnolias shaded the McMichaels while he's like down to Burford Road to another narrow street. So moving on to the next subtopic, which is structural ambiguity. So it's like the multiple interpretations for a piece of written or even spoken language due to the way words or phrases are actually organized. So one of the example here is during an early neighborhood contest, one of those friends tackled Maud so hard that Buck thought his brother was injured and moved to defend him. Before he did, Maud sprang to his feet and shook it off. So we chose that. Did Maud actually sprang to his feet and shook his feet off? Or did Maud sprang to his feet and shook Buck's friends? So the it here is actually not clear. So it either did Maud shook his feet off or Buck's friend. So that's how the structural ambiguity works. Okay, alright. So the last subtopic from syntax would be tree diagram. And I would like to explain briefly regarding tree diagram, where is a sentence that divided into two parts, which is a subject and a predicate. So basically they are made up of noun phrases and also verb phrases. So a good example from the article that we have found is the officers will cordon the scene and investigate. So firstly is sentence and divided into noun phrases and verb phrases. So the noun phrases would be the article is the, and officers would be the noun. So moving on to the verb phrases, will would be the verb, and then verb phrases divided into three types, which is the article is the, conjunction would be and noun phrases would be the investigate. So that's how we organize tree diagram based on the sentences given. Alright, the next topic would be semantics. As we know, the meaning of semantics is the study of words, phrases, and sentences. There are total 9 subtopics in these topics. I will move to the first one, which is conceptual and associative meaning. The meaning of conceptual is also known as a word that we literally use of. So there are some examples that we had found from the article. The first one would be sandwich. We do know that sandwich is a bread and also a food, obviously. So that is like a common thing that we knew as a human being. The second example would be jogging. It's also known as a slower runner and also exercising. Running is same as jogging, which is exercising and also the type of sports. So this is basically, it's like a common thing that we knew in our daily life. So moving on to the next subtopic, which is associative meaning, which means the stylistic meaning of a word with expression. For example, sandwich. If we eat sandwich, we feel like, oh, this food is so delicious. So the second one is jogging, which means after we jog, we feel tired and exhausted, and or at the same time, we'll feel refreshing at the moment. So the third one is basketball, which means it's an excitement, playing instrument for us to play, and then after we play basketball, we'll say like, yay, we won, something like that. So moving on to the next subtopic, which is the semantics features. So I would say semantic features, it actually helps us to understand the nature of language. So I've got here a few examples, which is the coach. So coach can be in animated form, which means it's like a comic version, and it can be also an adult. Obviously it's gonna be adult. And we have a female coach as well in this world, and coach is not a thing, it obviously a human. Coach is a human and obviously not an animal. So the second example is cheese, which is cheese is not an animated, not an adult, not a female, it's a thing. Cheese is a food and it's a thing, and definitely not an animal. So the third example is sandwich. Sandwich is same as cheese, which is food. It's not an animated, it's not an adult, it's not a female, it's a thing, and it's not an animal. So the last one would be employer. Employer is same as coach, which is a human, can be an animated person, can be an adult, can be a female, cannot be a thing, and cannot be an animal, obviously. For the fourth subtopics would be semantic roles. So there are typically 3 examples here that we have found from the article. The first one would be he launched a similar program in Eugene. He is referred to agent, where agent here is the meaning of the entity that performed the action. And launch is an instrument, which is also the agent that uses in performing the action. And the theme is the similar program in Eugene, so that refers to the theme. And so this is how we identify the agent, instrument, and theme. So the second example is that is a shortcoming of the culture of running. So that is agent, is the instrument, and theme would be a shortcoming of the culture of running. And the last one would be he and his stair-step siblings is agent, which is the person that performs the action. Attendant is an instrument, which is the person is performing the action. And Altama Elementary School would be the location. So it's a place, and we definitely call it as a location. Lexical relations. It means that relationship of a words, particularly in nouns, basically will be having a related meaning, but not the exact meaning. So under lexical relations we have 9 subtopics. So I will go to the first one, which is synonyms. So as we know, synonyms is a similar meaning of a word. So we have chose 3 examples for every subtopics in an article. So the first one would be unaware. So the similar word of unaware is unknowing, which means that we don't know what is going on. So we are unaware of something and unknowing of something. So the second one is capture, which means catch. It's the meaning of catch, where we're trying to catch someone. And the third one would be tussle. So the synonyms of tussle is fight. So moving on to the next subtopics, which is antonym. So we know that antonym means that it's the opposite meaning of a word. So the first one, obviously, the antonym of bright is dark. So the second one, antonym of a scatter is neat, which means scatter is a mess. So the third one is antonym of a big is small, so big and small. So the third one would be hyponyms. So the meaning of hyponyms is a word that can have a hierarchical relationship. So the first one is bungalow. Bungalow is basically a shelter, which means a house. And the second one is basketball. Basketball is a sport for us to play. And the third one is humans. So black. Black is a human, black human, which means a person that living at Africa. And the fourth one would be prototypes. Prototypes means the word we often use to generalize something. So for example, the first one is t-shirt. T-shirt is clothing. It's a cloth for us to wear. The second one is bed. Bed is a place, it's a furniture for us to lie down. The third one is wings. Wings is chicken for us, like, to eat chicken wing. It's a food. The fifth subtopic is homophones, which means the word that sounds the same but spelled differently and the meaning is different. So the first one is lake. Lake is a part of body, which means the lake, and lake. Lake is a pond. So the second one is live, where we are living now, and the homophones of live is live, where we live from somewhere else. The third one is caught, that I've been caught by someone. So the homophones for caught is a court, where all the judge are doing their job in the court. So the sixth one is homonyms, which means the word that's spelled the same, sounds the same, but has a different meaning. So the first one is bright, which means happy, and at the same time it's the meaning of filled with light, which means it's bright. So the second one is gold, which means gold is a color and also an element, which means it's so expensive. The third one is cell. Cell is a structure where we have the blood cell and white cell, and the different meaning is small room in a prison where the prisoner live. So the seventh is polysemy, which means a words that spell and sound the same but has more than two meaning. So the first one is open. Open means it's not covered, and the other meaning is honest. We are being honest. We are an open person. And the second one is key. Key means it's the shape method that we use to open and close the door. So that's the key. And the other one is the clue for us to find something. That's the key point for us to find something. And the third one would be free. Free means I'm really free right now. So I'm free right now. And the second one is not limited, which means we are having the free food or free things, something like that. And the number 8 is metonyms, which means a relationship of a words that based on a close connection of everyday experience. So the first one is heart. We have the heart to have the patient. The second one is police. Police definitely have a gun to shoot someone. And the third one is school. Without books, we can't even go to school. We have to have the books to learn something at school. And the last one would be collocation. Collocation means it's the word that frequently come about together. For example, grandmother. Grandmother and grandfather, it's come up together. And number 2, night and morning. Number 3 is black and white. It's a color, black and white.
So the next topic we have is pragmatics. Pragmatics is basically a study to analyze what a speaker is trying to speak about. The first subtopic under pragmatics is Day6. Day6 is basically pointing to something by using language. So there is 3 types of Day6: place, time, and person. Or under subtopic of person, for instance, we have, she says it was natural for her brother since he loved outdoors. He refers to the brother, her brother. And the next for time, for example, we have, there's a guy in the house right now. Right now refers to time. And last but not least, place. For example, Maud would have his shoes scattered over there. Over there indicates place. So basically, day 6 is pointing whether who is the pronoun is referring to, where the thing is, and the time the thing happened. Next, we have anaphora and antecedent. Anaphora and antecedent is basically whatever the pronoun is referring to. For example, we have, okay, what is he doing now? He's running down the street. So he is referring to a person, and the question and answer is referring to the person, the same person. Next, we have speech acts. Speech acts is basically how the speech what the speech is about, whether it is a statement, a question, or a request. So, for instance, we have stop right there. It is a request or a command. Last but not least, we have discourse analysis. Discourse analysis is basically going more deeper into the sentence and understanding hidden meaning or whatever the speaker is trying to talk about from the sentence. First, we have conversational interaction. Conversational interaction is basically when two persons takes turn into speaking, and completion point happens when the conversation stops. For instance, we have, why did you hit him like that? Save that for Friday. Let's see you on Friday. So this is a conversational interaction, and save that for Friday. Let's see you do that on Friday is the completion point for that conversation because the conversation stops. Next, we have background knowledge. Background knowledge is basically something that you already have the picture of whenever the word is mentioned. For instance, we have, he's running down the street. You can already imagine how a normal street looks like. Next, we have cooperative principle. In the article, we found 3 cooperative principles. First is quality. Quality is basically when the speaker is telling the truth. For instance, he favored slim jeans and bright colored polo shirts and rugbies and kept his hair short low with a sharp hairline. The speaker is telling the truth on how the person likes to dress up. Next, we have quantity. Quantity is basically when the speaker is telling all the information required and is not leaving any important information behind. For instance, we have the median household income for all of Greene County is $51,000. In Brunswick, that figure is $26,000. This statement shows how this statement explained informatively how much an income of a normal Greene County person has. Last but not least, relevant. Relevant is when the response to the speaker is relevant to the topic that is being discussed. So, for instance, we have, but Maud would have his shoes scattered everywhere, have his t-shirts where his boxes go, his polos with his socks. So basically, the speaker is explaining how would Maud scatter his shoes and items everywhere, and how he is a messy person.